Hillary Clinton tries to calm the faithful while she faces even more scandal over the people closest to her. This is Special Report. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Bret Baier. We begin tonight with Hillary Clinton's attempt to preserve her lead in the Democratic presidential race amid drama over her top aide's many jobs and her husband's many speeches. This, of course, on top of the bubbling cauldron of controversy over her emails and what was classified, marked or not, on her personal server. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry has tonight's top story.
A delicate balancing act for Hillary Clinton, who today used the Democratic National Committee's summer meetings to try and convince the party faithful there's no need to turn to Vice President Joe Biden without directly attacking him, and also trying to turn attention away from her own email fiasco.
Today, the party of Lincoln has become the party of Trump.
One day after comparing Republicans to terrorists, Clinton used a news conference to charge GOP frontrunner Donald Trump wants to throw illegal immigrants into boxcars.
To go and literally pull people out of their homes and their workplaces, round them up, put them, I don't know, in buses, boxcars, in order to take them across our border.
Yet Clinton got defensive when Fox News pressed her with three questions, including one about new emails obtained by Fox showing former President Bill Clinton sought permission from the State Department to give paid speeches tied to repressive regimes, North Korea and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Let me answer one of your questions because I think that's what you are entitled to.
The one of three Clinton answered was about her husband's speech requests, first reported by ABC News. She stressed there was an independent review and the North Korea and Congo ones were denied.
There were some unusual requests, but they all went through the process.
She would not answer Fox's question about new conflict of interest issues for one of her closest aides, Huma Abedin. These emails, also obtained by Fox, show Abedin using her official State Department email account to set up a dinner for Clinton on her last official trip in Dublin, a dinner that included donors to the Clinton Foundation and executives from Teneo, a consulting company founded by a longtime aide to the former president. Republican Senator Charles Grassley has demanded to know why the secretary gave Abedin special government employee status, enabling her to hold 4 positions simultaneously. Grassley firing off a new letter to the State Department declaring the latest revelations raise more questions about, quote, the intersection of official State Department actions, private Teneo business, and Secretary Clinton's personal interest in fundraising for the Clinton Foundation and related entities. Today, some of Clinton's rivals for the Democratic nomination seem to acknowledge the elephant in the room, even though Lincoln Chafee of Rhode Island insisted this was not a swipe.
And all through these almost 30 years of public service, I've had no scandals.
While former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley grew passionate when he suggested the party is protecting Clinton with too few debates.
This sort of rigged process has never been attempted before.
The donkey not in the room was Biden, who did not make the trip here to Minneapolis, though officials from the draft Biden movement were here in a suite at the DNC Hotel, pitching Democrats to wait for the vice president's decision.
I think that there is a genuine desire to see the vice president join this race.
Then there's Democratic Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders, who repeatedly brought the delegates to their feet and had fans in the street.
Vote for Bernie Sanders and the man. Share the wealth. Share the wealth.
The third question I asked Clinton was about the claim that her email situation was not unique. I asked her if she could name one other cabinet secretary with their own personal server. She never answered, Brett.
You know, Ed, I listened to all of that today, and it was interesting. Several times today, Hillary Clinton managed to bring up superdelegates, office holders, influential power brokers in the party who really hold more weight in the nominating process. Take a listen to a couple of those.
We are working really hard to lock in as many supporters as possible, and of course that would include superdelegates. That's part of our strategy to win the nomination. How important it is to be as well organized and focused from the very beginning on delegates, those who are superdelegates, those who are going eventually to be elected or named as delegates. And I'm very encouraged by the kind of response that I'm getting. I think it's understandable that my focus is going to be on delegates as well as votes this time.
I mean, this sounds like the end of 2008 all over again, and it's August 2015. What do you think?
Yeah, it's so early, and it's sort of a clue that tells us maybe she's more nervous than she's letting on in public before this event here with the DNC. Because you're right, in 2008, she was ahead of then Senator Barack Obama in superdelegates, these power brokers who were giving her their votes. When Barack Obama started winning various caucuses and primaries, they shifted over. These superdelegates can flip, so they flipped against Clinton. Interesting, because she may be also trying to send a signal to Vice President Biden, don't get in, I'm inevitable. But as I just talked to one top advisor to Martin O'Malley, the advisor said she tried to be inevitable in 2008. How'd that work out, right?
Yeah. Ed, thank you. GOP candidates who have been taking abuse, let's say, from Donald Trump are now starting to throw some elbows of their own tonight. Here's Chief Political Correspondent Carl Cameron on the Republicans.
Focusing on national security, GOP rivals warned that Donald Trump's insults and threats put the world at risk. Jeb Bush with veterans near Norfolk, Virginia's naval station.
I think it actually is politically counterproductive to say that someone's stupid or someone's an idiot or all this stuff that we now hear in the political discourse. This is just really, it has no relevance to the challenges we face.
Fear that Trump may literally go nuclear has emerged in town halls.
The guy in the red hat, an obvious jerk. I won't mention any names. But anyway, it seems, I don't want him answering that phone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Bush trashes Trump for having backed abortion rights and universal health care in the past, but acknowledges the billionaire's momentum and message.
He's tapped into this anger and angst that Washington's not working. I totally get it. And I respect the fact that, look, this is a guy who's the front runner.
At the Citadel Military College in Charleston, South Carolina, Scott Walker delivered his first foreign policy speech.
The retreat is over. American leadership is back. American leadership is back, and together with our allies, we will not surrender another inch of ground to terrorists or any other power that threatens our safety.
Saying it's no time for untested leaders, Walker disputed Trump's charge that all U.S. leaders are corrupt, incompetent losers.
And there are some who would question whether our leaders are capable of rising to the challenges of our time and whether our country is capable of continued greatness. I do not share that view of America.
Walker knocked Bush for having said he'd consult with advisors before nullifying the Iran nuclear deal.
I don't need to appoint a cabinet or consult a committee. Anybody who doesn't know today that the Iran deal is a bad deal is not ready to be commander-in-chief. I am ready to be commander-in-chief on day one.
Walker urged the president to cancel next month's state dinner for the president of China to protest China's cyber spying and currency manipulation. Trump said all he'd offer the Chinese leader is a Big Mac. Rolling out a hard-nosed but more sophisticated China policy, Marco Rubio said the official state visit should be downgraded to a working visit.
I do not believe that we should cancel Xi Jinping's visit to Washington next month. I also do not believe that we should be rolling out the red carpet for him. This is an opportunity to speak bluntly to this authoritarian ruler, not to treat him to a state dinner.
And Carly Fiorina on the trail today may have sent the tweet of the week, quote, "Our campaign car just hit a deer in Iowa. Everyone's fine, but per @Chuck Grassley, assume deer dead." Never a dull moment on the 2016 trail.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
Friday afternoon.
Wow. Carl, thank you. Well, listen, we're asking for your feedback tonight on some of the stories. You'll see the questions on the bottom of the screen. We invite your thoughts via Twitter and Facebook. And at the end of the program, we'll read some of them. While Donald Trump continues to lead the way for Republican contenders, potential voters have so far given him a pass on a series of reversals and flip-flops, you may call them, that would normally sink a candidate. The candidate concedes he has, quote, evolved on several issues, but as the party's frontrunner, opposite past positions on key issues usually prove to be problematic. Tonight, correspondent Doug McKelway looks at the list and how Trump may be different.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
3 years after presidential candidate George H.W. Bush said that, he signed into law an increase on recording device royalties. Opponents relentlessly hounded him with accusations of flip-flopping on taxes. Fair or not, the flip-flop accusation has damaged many a candidate.
I actually did vote for the $87 billion before I voted against it.
Do you think a mandating people to buy insurance, is the right tool?
Brett, I don't know how many hundred times I've said this too. This is an unusual interview. All right, let's do it again.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
Donald Trump now sits high atop the Republican field, undamaged by numerous flip-flops on abortion, for example.
I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion.
So I'm pro-life, but with the caveats, and you have to have with the caveats.
On campaign financing.
I'm using my own money. I'm not using the lobbyists. I'm not using donors. I don't care. I'm really rich.
We have a lot of small contributors. I would even take big contributors as long as they don't expect anything.
Trump once favored the legalization of drugs. Now he's opposed. He once opposed a flat tax proposed by Steve Forbes. Now he wants a simpler code. He once proposed a ban on assault weapons and supported longer wait times for guns. He no longer does. He once supported the privatization of Social Security. Now he doesn't. Why are his supporters so forgiving?
He sounds like you're talking to maybe your uncle who is just a little cranky, but is telling it like it is. People relate to that. He's funny.
I think a lot of other conservatives who are supporting him are just not aware of all of the liberal positions he's taken over the years. And until somebody spends a lot of money on ads publicizing those positions, they're not going to know about them.
I've evolved on many issues over the years, and you know who else has is Ronald Reagan evolved on many issues.
Reagan was a one-time Democrat who defended his switch to the GOP, saying, quote, "I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me."
Also frequently hounded for many policy and party switches, Winston Churchill. He fired back at some of his critics, quote, "Some men change their party for the sake of their principles, others their principles for the sake of their party." Brett?
Doug, thank you. Up next, Florida declares a state of emergency as a tropical storm heads that way. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 25 in Boston, as a former New Hampshire prep school senior is acquitted of felony rape, but convicted of misdemeanor sex charges involving a 15-year-old freshman. Owen Labrie was accused of raping the girl as part of a senior tradition of having sex with underclass females. Fox 9 in Minneapolis says a man identified by Homeland Security as a terror suspect is now legally permitted to drive semi-trucks. Amir Mashal has passed the requirements to get a Class A commercial license. He has applied for a school bus license as well. Mashal has been accused of trying to radicalize Muslim youth and participating in a terror training camp in Somalia. This is a live look at Seattle from our affiliate Q13 Fox. The big story there tonight, the largest wildfire in Washington state history grew by more than 22 square miles overnight, and firefighters are worried about high winds predicted for this weekend. The fire has destroyed so far at least 45 primary residences, 49 cabins, and 60 outbuildings. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.